Hi everyone, welcome back to YAHWEH'S Perspective. If you're here for the first time, I'm your host Florence K, and today I am joined by this wonderful couple that I admire a lot, and I would like you guys to introduce yourself.
Hi Florence, introduce me. Who am
All
I
right,
to
no
you?
problem. I'll do that. I'll do the justice to that. Welcome to this podcast. It's a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is I've been given the honor to introduce my delectable, beautiful, fantastic, amiable, amazing wife of
Wow.
11 years.
Over 10 years.
Mother of my children, my Koriko Suma Molewa,
okay.
the
Your
one
head
and
is- your head
only.
is swelling.
Is your head swelling so far?
It's
Am I
swelling.
doing a good job?
You've done an excellent job.
One and only Idon Gong Gong. I just found out that name and I said I'm going to, tape it to her that she's my Idon Gong Gong. Her name is Ruth Iyayi and I am Sam. And you can call me
Am I not
Sean.
the one that's supposed to introduce
All right,
you?
you do the introduction. Let's see whether you can beat
Okay,
that.
hello everyone. Meet the person that's been toasting me since that won't let me rest, won't let me drink water and drop cup. He's just pursuing me left, right, and center. His name is Sam, but I call him Sheon. I call him his Yoruba name. His name is Sheon. His name is Samuel Badmus.
And you're not putting in Olori or Koru.
Ah, Olówórí ọkọ Ruth. I'll let nobody.
I'm sorry. The God
we could be
went.
actually raz like that. We're good.
Oh my God, the God went right now. Yeah, it's loud. The God went is loud, but I'm really glad that you guys are coming here. And this is the
you.
second time we're actually trying to film this episode, so I really am grateful that you guys came back again.
Thank you.
And
Anything for
yeah,
you.
I'm
Anything
really,
for you.
really grateful. I really admire you guys. You guys already know. I admire you guys a lot, and your family. Oh my God, their children, so cute. Don't worry.
Thank
Let's
you.
focus. When you see them, you start wanting, you be craving marriage. You just be sitting like, oh, I think I want to marry. If you were saying that I don't want to marry, this is what you need to watch. So today we're going to start off with, like an icebreaker.
Okay.
I'll ask Sister Ruth to sing a song.
Mhm.
Like you're trying to, what was the word? You're trying to
Serenade me.
serenade your husband.
alright.
Can you please sing a song?
Singing is not
Gi-
my strong suit.
It doesn't matter. It's coming with love. He would accept it.
Ah,
And
you are my fire, the one desire.
you don't know the
Sister
lyrics.
Ruth.
I don't know the lyrics.
Yeah, that's why we know your sister Ruth.
Mhm. I can't remember. It's right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it love song?
It's a love song, I
It
think.
is okay.
Yeah.
Choose another one. This one is not working.
Give me some.
It's not smile. He has to smile.
You use what singing song? Any
Which one?
singing song?
He's even giving you a expo.
10 over 10. I'm waiting at the tell of my friend.
What kind of songs are you
I
singing?
don't offend, no, I don't
Yes.
say no.
I'm not even
No,
smiling.
okay.
I'm
And
sorry.
I like singing a lot.
You
too.
like singing a
I
lot.
like singing a lot.
What
There's
about
this
the Kule
one-
Gold song?
I can't remember any of them. I don't listen to
I
them
know.
anymore. That's the problem. I'm
So there's
trying
no
to think.
love song that you know. Okay, I'm going to ask your husband to sing anyone as if he has like an arsenal
yeah,
full of
sing
songs.
a love song to me.
I'm going to sing the one I sang on our wedding day.
Oh, you sang on your
Oh, wow,
wedding
yeah, I
day.
did.
Oh.
Yes, you did.
Olómi, onítèmi, ọ̀rẹ́ mi,
Hey, God, I beg.
olólùfẹ́, ojú kan,
Was it why you finish singing?
ṣàlàdá ni, lọ́lọ́lúwa, kò sóhun tó yà wá.
Yes, that's true. He did sing for me on our wedding day.
And there's
'cause-
another one. I want to sing. Remember this one? La mi re do la,
Oh,
re do la so
what's
do
his
mi
name?
so do re. Mi de do la, re do la so do mi so do re. It's not for Gen Z. Don't
we
worry.
should
It's
listen.
not for Gen Z.
You don't remember his name?
Wahala for the Gen
Beautiful
Z.
New.
Beautiful Nubia.
Beautiful
Yes, I
Nubia.
used to really like Beautiful Nubia. Yes,
Wow.
yes.
What did you? He sang for you on your wedding day. Which one did you do? Did you dance?
It was my birthday. My wedding day was my birthday. So he sang for me. He played the saxophone. sang happy birthday.
Hey.
Yeah, my wedding day
Wow.
was my birthday.
Oh, that's
Yes,
sweet.
yes.
Was
Did you
good
guys-
like that?
Did you guys purposely choose your birthday?
I would say purposely. So we had decided to get married. I think it was December or September of that year.
I think we moved it from December to September.
To
so
September.
a lot of people move it forward.
We
We
moved it
back
closer.
closer.
So it was supposed to be December. Then we said, okay, let's move it closer to September. And then that day I woke up, I was getting ready for work, and I just checked the calendar, and I saw that my birthday was on a Saturday that year. And I sent him a text. I'm like, dude, we're getting married in June, no longer in September. And when we told our families, everybody was like, June? Like, that's so close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm getting married on my birthday. And that
Wow.
was it. We moved
Okay.
it, yeah, closer.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, wow, that worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it did.
Hmm. Maybe you should be looking at the day your birthday fell on. Maybe Saturday this year. Are you getting
Maybe
a sign?
that's the magic.
Exactly.
Maybe.
But yeah, I would like to know. Would like to know more about you guys and how you met, how you established your relationship, and how you knew like this was the will of God for you.
Okay.
Just tell us, yeah, how you met. What
Do you want
was?
to go first or should I go on?
I think you should go first.
We met in church.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I was looking to be in a relationship or anything. So how did it happen?
How old
I'm
were
trying
you?
to remember. So I was home. My cousins were around. At that time, my cousins were about in their 40s and they were married, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
and my sisters. So we were 6 kids in my family, 5 girls, and I have just one brother. So all of the ladies were all together, and my cousins were just kind of like talking and saying that, you know, one shouldn't wait so long, that marriage is something you should start praying for early and all of that. And we're going to go to church that night for vigil. And so because my cousins were around, my siblings, we needed a bigger car. So we rented a bus. You know how you have like those, what do you call
Coaster
them?
buses.
Like those, no, not coaster, like mini bus or something.
Oh, yeah.
You could rent all those buses,
Okay.
like 16-seater kind of buses. So we rented a bus, so we would all go together in church, and we wouldn't take multiple cars.
Okay.
So I remember when we were going to church, my cousin was like, look, as we're going to vigil now, all of you, you know, don't say you're too young, no matter your age, don't feel like there's time. Start praying about your marriage now so that you wouldn't be, you know, in the situation that we're in now. So I remember going for that vigil, and, you know, I just prayed to God, right? Oh, like, you know, I'd like to know who my husband is. I'd like to meet my husband. But like I said, I wasn't like seriously looking for a relationship. At that time, I did have someone who was asking me out. He was a pastor's kid. His dad was a pastor in Redeemed. So I went for the vigil. When we got to church, church had started. So when I walked in, the choir was ministering. And when the choir finished ministering, there was some guy who was playing the saxophone and was still playing the saxophone, right? So the minister was ready to start preaching. And everybody had like sat down, and the guy who was playing the saxophone kept playing it because he was distracted. And I realized he was
not
staring at
spirit
me.
filled. Was it not spirit led?
Maybe. I realized he was staring at me. So I was just like, who is this one that is not paying attention in church? So eventually the minister had to like, you know, signal, and then other people around him now like give him the sign. So he stopped. And then the sermon and everything. And then when the service was over, so unlike how we do videos here in Nigeria, when you do videos, a lot of the churches is into, you know, the early hours of the morning.
Yeah.
So when it was over, we decided let's wait a bit till about 5:30 before we start heading home. And so I didn't want to like sleep or anything. So I went outside the church and I was just seated. I was on my phone. And the person I said was asking me out. It was Holy Ghost service in camp at that time. So he was in camp. And he had called me. So I was talking to him, and then we finished the phone conversation. And then I noticed that, the brother that was, you know, singing in the choir, the saxophone guy, was like hanging around me, Sha.
Yeah.
You know, he was trying to clean his saxophone and everything. So when I finished with the phone call, he came to meet me. He introduced himself. He asked for my name. At that time, my shakara was Pro Max. So I was just like, who's this one from church that is, you know, disturbing me? He asked for my phone number. And I said I don't give my number to strangers. So I refused to give him my number. Anyway, we exchanged pleasantries. He said, you know, he just wanted to introduce himself. And then he stood up and he left. Then it was time for us to head home. And when we all got into the bus, the minibus we had rented, the bus wasn't. It didn't start.
No, you did give me your number.
I didn't give you my
Yes,
number.
you
Yeah.
did.
So exactly. He asked me my number. I didn't give it to him. I said I don't give strangers my number. And then the bus didn't start. So he could see from where he was sitting inside church, like, oh, it looks like there's
Something's
a
going
problem.
on, yeah.
So he came out with a friend of his, and he was like, oh, what's going on, And we're like, oh, the bus didn't start. So he helped the driver. They pushed it. They did everything, and then the bus started.
Knight in shining armor.
And then he came back, and he's like, oh, so can I get your number now? And I'm like, oh.
Did you please? I was asking one question. Did you pray that something should?
No, I was just spirit led.
He was spirit-led. So I gave him my number, and that was how he got my number. And when I got home that day, I think we were fasting that period. We were actually fasting that period in our church. And then I started having dreams. Other people started having dreams as well. And so I had to go speak to our youth pastor at that time to say, oh, this is what's going on. It's not like I know him before. It wasn't like, oh, okay, I just saw him and I decided, I want to marry him, but this is what's going on. So he gave specific prayer points. He said I should go pray, and that God would confirm his word. At that time, I didn't know that he as well, he would give his version. He had even prayed before that vigil, so he would give his version. So he also went to the youth pastor. The youth pastor also gave him prayer points to go back and pray, like an assignment, like homework. And he was like, God would say something to him. God would give him a word, like a key, and also give me a key. I didn't know at that time, and he didn't know, right? And
But
both of them
the
had
youth
to,
pastor was the
match.
same?
Yes, it was the same youth pastor, and that whatever God tells us, it would have to match, because God is not the author of confusion. As God would have it, the day the youth pastor asked me to come and see him, I believe he asked you also to come and see him, and then when he asked, what God told him, what God told me, and it matched, there were so many similarities in terms of what God had been telling me and what God had been telling him. And then I think he gave us even more assignments.
Yeah,
we had to go back and pray some more. Then there were other people who came forward to say, oh, this is what God was telling them. And then, eventually got into a relationship, courtship, as we say. Then it was time to leave the country, right? Yes. Then I left the country. I went to a different country for my master's. He went to a different country.
Oh, wow.
And we were apart for maybe 3 years. About 2 to 3 years.
3 years.
And then he decided that, okay, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, dude, I have a good job. I was in the UK at that time. I have a good job. I'm not going to leave my job for any man. No, like, how are we going to do it? So I think you were the one who suggested it. He suggested that I would look for work in Dubai, where he was, and then he would look for work in the UK, and whoever gets a job first would move, so we could actually settle down, have a family, because both of us were sure we didn't want to have a divided family, living in two different countries. And so I feel like he cheated, because he took my resume, my CV, and gave it to his friend. I was like,
as a sharp boy, right?
My babe.
I didn't want to leave my comfort zone.
Yes, my babe was looking for a job. And so his friends submitted it, and then they called me for a test. So I flew down to Dubai, wrote the test.
No. You were already... I already told you to come over. Sorry, I'm
no.
You're sorry. You're supposed to tell us how you met before you get to this old Dubai.
You came, and it was at that coincidentally.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So
it was at the time
did a test, and so exactly I went to visit. I remember. So I did the test. Then they said I passed the test. There was an interview, and then they gave me an offer. So I went back to the UK to pack up my things. Went to Nigeria first.
Yeah.
Spent some time in Nigeria, then went to Dubai. Of course, my father was like, hope you have your separate accommodation. I said, of course, Daddy. So I got my place, he had his place, I had my place, but at least we were both living in Dubai.
Same country, yeah.
At that time he had proposed, I'd gotten my ring. That proposal is even another story on its own, but that's how it happened. And I think it was just over a year after I moved to Dubai, we had the wedding.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow. So
long-winded, but yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. What was your part of the story in terms of the first time?
I think I would say from my own perspective. So at that time, I was at the phase of my life where I wanted to understand what I was doing. So I was already caught in a lot of relationship. Those kind of relationship that I didn't want. But I would just like, because the theory is, if you hold on to something, God is not going to, and you hold on to it, and your hands are not open, God is not going to put anything into it. So I wanted my hands to be open for me to receive from God. So, and that was my prayers. And that was, so that same particular day, I saw her. I think the story she's saying about me playing over and over.
Yes, that's what happened.
It's a version. My version. Yes, I saw her.
Everybody
and
there
I was just
saw it.
playing. I was just playing.
And you didn't want to stop with the rest of the
How
choir.
come when the choir stopped singing, you were still playing the saxophone
Well,
and you were staring at me?
I just wanted something for her to notice me.
Okay.
Church, brother of the Lord.
It was like,
there's
you
something
must
about
know.
instrumentalists. There's something about when you want something. So after that,
Oh, you forgot the part where before that video, you had told your friend that you were praying, right?
No.
Anyway, go on.
It was so, I saw my friend.
Yes.
And I saw two of my friends, and I said, I have seen my wife. I have seen the woman I'm going to marry. I said, I already know. And I've seen it, and I'm going to pray towards it.
Was there, like, I want to understand, like, because some people have said that, oh my God, you just saw, and just thought, that's my wife. Was there like was there something that witnessed to you that?
Yeah,
or you just, without a doubt.
I can remember that day vividly, right? And I saw her, and I knew that that's my wife. And I told, so this is not me saying or putting it in my mind and saying that,
I want this person.
I want this person. I saw it, I heard it, and I spoke it out. And I told people to be my witness or my witnesses. Like, that's my wife. That's the mother of my children. That's the woman I'm going to marry. So, and yes, the Spirit will give you something, but you also need to walk towards it, obviously. She already had someone she was speaking to.
People, please, hello, I was hot in the market.
All right. She was hot in the market, right?
They were calling me left, right, and center. Exactly.
So you needed to up your own game to say what God is giving you is not just anyhow. You two, you are there, right? So I spoke with her that day. We spoke. Then I went over. I started praying. Spoke with the youth pastor. All the stories she said. Everything. And from what I believe, God gives you like a key for your marriage. Something that even in the time when you guys are passing through a tribulation, there's something you can hold on and say, go back to God and like, you gave us this home. You are the foundation. So sort this out. And those are the things you take. And when we have that word, or we had that word, we were certain that we were meant to be together. But all of this is not saying that it's all going to be rosy. No, we had days that we were like, what's wrong with this guy?
But
he felt my shakara was too much.
I just felt so. And don't forget that I'm also coming from a place where I had a lot of girls around me.
Yeah, girls who liked him and wanted to be with him.
They just
right, and then
and
this is paying attention to what
you're like. I'm your hot cake. It's not only you.
What is your problem? You know, and I'm like, you know.
But I knew that even though there were others, I couldn't look at them because God already showed me. So I had to also be humble and say, okay, where do you want to take me to, God? Because what she has as our own expectation, if I'm not meeting it, it becomes a disappointment, right? So I had to also, level up. Level up. She also had to level up. We had
on different grounds.
On different grounds. We're coming from two different places, two different backgrounds. We had to, okay, this is what you do, this. And we're here now, going on 11 years.
Yes.
Thank God.
I want to go back to, the structure of like the youth pastor. Like what would you say, like that structure of, not everybody wants to go back to someone and say that, okay, this is what I'm seeing in my dreams. People just want to act on their feelings. Like, I feel this way about someone, I'm just going to act on it. Like, I want you to also, like, elaborate on how important that structure is.
Okay.
Because
You wanna
the
go?
one thing about my generation.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for me, it's very important to have that spiritual covering, that spiritual head, especially when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriages. And that's because sometimes you just need that sounding board to make sure it's not your flesh taking over, it's just your feelings taking over. You may call it old school, but I'm not of the school of thought that if you like somebody or if you think that God has given someone to you, that you just automatically walk up to that person and tell that person. I believe that there should be order, there should be structure. I believe there should be somebody you're accountable to spiritually, who you've allowed to be that covering, who you've allowed to lead you as well spiritually, pending when you're paired with your spouse. I do believe that at least if you belong to a church, then you align with the doctrines of that church and you align with the general order and rules of that church, right? So I strongly advocate for letting the minister know or the pastorate know, and going through that counseling phase and having somebody else confirm what it is that God is saying to you. What about you?
I totally support everything you said, and I also want to add that marriage is honorable.
Yeah.
Right? There's always, with God, there's always honor, and with God, there's always the other. Just like she said, if you do not have God, if you act on your feelings, there are so many feelings out there.
Yeah.
So many.
Yeah,
you
true.
look at something, you look at someone, I like the way he dresses, I like the way he smells, I like the way she smells, I like the way makeup. But those feelings are going to, they
They could
diminish,
change, yeah.
depreciate and all that. It's just like you saying, I have butterflies in my tummy. But that butterfly, traffic catch 'em. Sorry, did you get?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to, you need to be led by God so that when that butterfly isn't there anymore, there's something that you can fall back to and say, this is what God gave us. Because there will be those days. And when the love is not there anymore, you fall on those things, you fall on friendship, you fall on what God has given you. And I think that we can't underestimate that part. As believers, as Christians, we can't.
Yeah. And also, I remember something that happened with a friend. She was already being courted by a brother in the church. They were they were going through counseling and everything, but they had not been formally announced to the church. And there was, some other brother in church who went up to her and was like, oh, God is telling me you're my wife. That's chaotic, right? If he had gone to the pastorate, he would have been able to receive that, counseling, like, oh no, maybe go back and pray.
Yeah.
You don't want that kind of chaos in the house of God. You don't want unnecessary heartbreaks in the house of God. You don't need all of that, right?
God is not an author of confusion.
He's not an author of confusion.
Because another thing is that I hear a lot is that also people, what if it doesn't work out? What if, my question is, I know people are okay, if I'm getting into this relationship, it's most likely because I'm getting into it for marriage. That's the only time I get to meet pastor. What if I'm not seeing marriage in the next 3 years, but I'm feeling led towards someone? Could I still go talk to the pastor? And they have this mindset that, because people that have prayed and said that, oh, this is the will of God, sometimes you see those relationships break, and then they are not getting married anymore. It's but now some people that are in the pastorate already know that these two people, they wanted to get married before. So it's just a lot of people just knowing, but it's not. I don't know. What do you say about that?
So if they don't want to go to pastorate to say, oh, God is leading me to this person, right? This is person I want to be in a relationship or in a courtship with because they are afraid it may break. Okay. Would they say they won't get married? Because marriages break too. And marriage is even much more open. Everybody sees you. It can break. I do have to mention that the fact that God has said that somebody is your spouse or somebody is your husband, somebody is your wife, does not automatically mean it would work 100%. You have a role to play.
Yep.
God won't come down from heaven and force both of you that by force make it work.
Yeah.
You're going to be in this house, you're going to live in peace. You have your role to play. He has his role to play. If both of you decide not to play the roles you're supposed to play, God won't leave his throne and come. Of course, God loves each and every one of us, and he gives us several opportunities to make it right. But the fact that God has said it, it's a confirmation you need. It's that word that you need to help you continue to grow that bond and what you can fall on in the hard times. But it doesn't automatically mean that it takes away everything that could break you guys, everything that could be stressful. No, you still have a role to play in it.
Yeah, I think that in this case, you should also understand that God giving you that, or God giving you a revelation that this is the person, doesn't mean that you should not do your own part, just like she said. But doing your own part also, you should understand that. Okay, I wanted to begin this by saying that when both of us had our confirmations and all that, marriage was not in the picture.
No.
Okay.
Don't forget that after that she traveled.
Yeah, I was going to go to school. I was working. I wanted to go to school.
If you, after confirmation, you go to marriage, what are you going to eat out of that? Right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to make something for ourselves, but we already had a picture of, okay, this is where we're going, this is the end. So going back to what you're saying, 3 years or 4 years down the line, you already know. So it gives you're able to focus. There's a direction. Yeah. So whatever you're doing, so there are going to be strange voices coming. So you're able to concentrate that, okay, these are all strange voices. This is not what God is telling me and all that. And that is why even if you get to it, from where I come from, they say that when you are old enough to have a hole, you get it. They give it to you. Yeah. When you're old enough and you seek after God's guidance, God is going to give it to you, and you know that I'm holding on to this. I'm not going to leave it, irrespective of the age or the time you're getting it.
And don't forget that you cannot plan your life and then tell God, okay, fit it in. Yes. We are the clay. He's the potter. Right? If you're saying, oh, I'm not ready for marriage, I don't want to go to the pastor right now, even though God is speaking to me, then you're assuming you're the potter and God is the clay. So you want to mold your perfect life, your perfect vision. Okay, I'm not ready to get married now. I'll be ready in 3 years. So in 3 years' time, God, then you come and talk to me and reveal the person. No, that's not how it works. As believers, we have to be fully yielded. If God is saying that now is the time that I'm revealing this to you, then you take it to the pastorate and you say, okay, this is what I believe God is telling me. And they will send you back for confirmation. It doesn't mean that, they would automatically say, oh, yes because you have said this. Oh, yeah, let's join both of you. No, you will still go back. You will still do extra work. And that could take some time. You don't know how long that would take. But we can't just want to plan out our life and then fit God in as we choose. That's not how it works.
And just piggybacking on that quickly, and that also boils down to when people have expectation of what God is going to give to them. You already have an expectation. He's going to be tall. It's going to have beard. It's going to have, you already have that expectation. And God is just going to corner you and say, my darling, I see the end from the beginning. I've seen what is going to be good for you. Is the short guy that will be good for
Yes, and I really like the fact that, even us, I like the fact that we didn't rush into marriage or anything. Wow. We were friends. That time of friendship is so essential. It's so important. And I don't think the fact that, you're not ready to get married now, you're not the owner of your life. Let the one who owns it lead you, and he will make a mess of your life.
Yeah.
I told her, and this was when we were apart, I want to have this X amount.
Yeah, he used to always say he wanted to have 1 billion or something. Okay, please, where's the billion now? God
is bringing it.
God is bringing it. He's bringing it.
I want to also ask, is there the one with God? Because is there the one that maybe I was not, I don't know, let's say I was just foolish and I didn't really cater to what God has given me, and this person moves on. Have I missed the will of God? Or is there the one? If I miss this one, that's finished for Florence or something like that.
So the reason why, to me, I won't say that the person has just missed it is because God is a loving Father, right? And he's the one who can still make a message out of a mess. the fact that you didn't do what you were supposed to do does not mean that you're automatically written off. There's only one sin that the Bible tells us cannot be forgiven, right? And that's blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. Every other thing, God can turn it around. Okay, you're looking at it from the point of view of, okay, what if I missed that person, I wasn't ready, or I let the person go? What if there's a D1 and that D1 dies? People die every day. Does that mean you will remain single all the rest of your life? No, I don't think so. I believe that when God gives us an individual, yes, that individual is the best for us at that time. But if circumstances happen that make us miss it, we end up not getting married to that person, one thing or the other happens, the person doesn't even want to marry us, because that's another thing. God may tell you that this person is your spouse, and the other person is like, I don't like you. It's not just working.
Yeah.
But sometimes,
my.
it can work. God can also, intervene, right? But I don't think if you just miss that one, then that's the end. You are banished forever from getting married. He's a loving God. He's a good God. He's a good Father. And he's the Alpha and the Omega, right? He knows the end from the beginning. So even before that issue happened that made that the one go, he already knew it would happen. Right? And there's a lesson in that, for you to learn.
And he wants you to pick a lesson for the next one that is going to come.
Exactly.
For you to be perfect. So, I don't think we are also in, a lot of people or a lot of us sometimes, because of our culture, because of our upbringing, we box God into a corner and say this is where God is multi-dimensional. And that's why, whatever you miss, just like she said, is the Alpha and Omega. He sees the end from the beginning. He already knows, even before you are saying that, I've missed the one. He already knows that you're going to miss it. It's just for you to know why. What is the essence? Once you come into that realization, then pick whatever you want, what God wants you to learn, and apply it onto the next one. It's going to give you, no matter what you do, God is still going to be a loving God.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to change that.
And look at, just an illustration, Rahab, the prostitute. Her life was basically written off. Who would have thought that Rahab would end up being somebody that would, eventually get married, have legitimate children and everything. But God made that possible. What can't he turn around?
Yeah.
And look at the lineage that came out of
Rahab.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
it was us now,
Would have
cancel
Yeah.
cancel culture.
What can't he turn around?
Oh
so
my
what
God.
can't
God
he
is
turn
different.
around?
The way
Okay.
he looks at things is so different.
That makes so much sense. Okay. I hope some people's questions have been answered. But I also want to ask, how has it been in almost 11 years? How has it been, and what has worked for you guys? Because I feel like even just outside now, there's a lot of bad PR for marriage these days, on social media. And I want more of the marriages that are working, marriages in Christ that are actually working, and to publicize that more. So what is working for you guys? Because a lot of young people are afraid. They're like, God, this one, what is it that you want to take into marriage now that is not looking like it can spoil? Because the one that say that, marry who is kind, the kind person can change tomorrow and be unkind. So a lot of people are afraid. So what has worked for you guys, and what would you advise someone that is afraid of marriage at this point?
Let me say a couple of things first. Number one, fear is not from God. If you think you're afraid of marriage, you're fearful, then we need to treat that first and foremost. Because the spirit of God and the spirit of fear, they don't coexist in the same space, right? If you're afraid that, you marry a kind person today, that kind person can change, you can change too.
Yeah.
Why are you so focused on the other person? Why not focus on making sure that you are fulfilling purpose in your marriage when you get into it, right? That's the second thing I want to mention. And then the third thing about bad PR. The kingdom of darkness will not want anything good to continue to thrive. They know that a marriage that is founded on God, the foundation is on Christ, the spouse, the husband and the wife are in unity, they can take down anything. So the kingdom of darkness will not want that. So that's why there would be more bad PR around marriages, because they don't want people to be joyfully and united in marriage, right? So I just wanted to touch on those three things first. In terms of how it's been going, so it's almost 11 years in marriage, and a couple of days ago was Valentine's Day. And My husband sent me sweet Valentine's text message by 11 a.m. in the morning. And by that 11 a.m., I told him, you're cancelled. You're and he was wishing me happy Valentine's Day by 11 a.m. That's almost noon. That's almost the end of the day, you know? And he had to really, you know, make up for it and pay for it. So that's how it's going. It's going well, we thank God. So how is it going?
You know, before when we started this podcast and you said I should introduce her, I said, it don't go. Because people who don't understand
you don't.
It's
Oh
like,
my goodness.
she's the main.
Wow.
So I think, to take from what she said, when on Valentine's Day, I work like different time zones just to meet my client and all. So I had meetings. I work from home. She came to the home office for her to, I was in a meeting.
Showed him my beautiful self when I was going to work.
But I was caught up in a meeting. I was like, okay, I had deliverables. Okay. And by the time I finished the meeting, it was 11 a.m. this time. And I looked at myself like, I know this woman. I've not sent Valentine's message. So I picked up my phone quickly. I sent a lovely message to her. Went straight to Instagram. Did one mad post. When I did that post, I said, so and I sent her, don't look at this text message alone. No.
Go and check
Instagram.
To see.
The full package.
So on our family WhatsApp page,
yes,
they started posting
my
it. My
siblings posted the video. I was like, all of you are posting. I've cancelled the guy.
I didn't know she had cancelled
the guy.
All of this one that people were saying she had cancelled me and all that. But I think what has worked for us, everything she said about, you know, the PR and all that, I wanted to touch on that, but she did justice to that, so I'm not going to go there anymore. Okay. But what has worked for us is being intentional. Intentionality in marriage should be overemphasized.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional.
Yeah.
What has worked out for us? Don't forget that she saw you, she liked something about you, everything she sees about you, don't give up on that. My wife likes a certain smell.
Yes.
The way I smell.
Yes.
And I know that, so I have to. I like something about her too. I want her. So don't say because we are, you know that thing they say about see finish.
Yes.
Don't let it get in there. Okay. You know, always look fresh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always look on point. Always, be there. Always be intentional. Always, even if you don't have money, I tell people, even if you go out, you stop by at the grocery store, buy something.
Yeah.
Let her know. Because women, what I've not noticed or what I've been taught is you could buy a car for a woman 2 weeks ago or now. And in the next 1 week, you are not giving her anything or paying her attention. She's going to tell you, I don't think you love me.
Why are you casting
And that's
me?
a life lesson for anybody watching.
Me?
So, even if it's something, drop a note.
Yeah.
Say something, drop a
yeah.
message. Even though I work in different time zones, she might come downstairs and like, babe, don't worry, I packed your food.
Yes, when I'm going to work.
I packed her food.
Yeah.
Like for Valentine's Day, we have this. So she's been craving that. Oh, she wants to go back to Dubai for her to see.
Yes.
So that day I like. So we have a restaurant that we go to.
PF Chang.
It's called PF Chang. It's in the US, but for us to go to the US, and the one in the US is not even as nice as the starter. There's this starters we have in PF Chang in Dubai.
Dynamite
it's
shrimp.
Called Dynamite Shrimp. So when she told me, she called me just a week before Valentine's that I miss Dubai and all that. I'm like, what can I do for her? Then she got home. I went online, searched. during my work hours.
Yeah,
Search for the recipe.
I see the details.
Search for the recipe. I bought everything. I did it. I watched YouTube videos. And they were, you have to be intentional. When she got home, she was tired. I said, I have something for you. Try it. It was not for Valentine's Day. It was before, because I wanted to get it right.
Yes.
She tasted it. Said,
It tastes
Did you go
just like the one in
Did
Dubai.
you go to PS Chang? You know, like, I don't like I've flown to, even if I have private jet. No, now told that. So on Valentine's Day, I mean, so it's all about being intentional. It's not you having the whole world,
Yeah.
but when she sees what you're putting into it, they're like, and vice versa. She
Yeah.
does some things for me, and I'm like, oh wow. So you have to, you have the friendship. For my wife, I'll tell you. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been into my work and
Very
everything,
busy.
very busy, and like you don't love me again. Why? Because I'm not spending time with her.
Yes.
She feels that, oh, you don't
Yes.
love me again
Yes.
and all that. You're not spending time with me. Oh, you tell me you want to build your slides, you want to do
Yes.
reports, you want to do this, you're not spending. And I know for her, you have to check, is the love tank still full? Everyone has a love language.
tank, yeah.
And that tank of your love language should be full. I realized that, oh my God, I'm not spending a lot of time with my wife. They just see you in the morning. At night when you come back, we just she wants to spend more time. That's how I tank. And this weekend of Valentine's and everything.
And yesterday especially, he
Yesterday,
spent the entire day with me. No
I
work,
decided
no
I
laptop,
switched off,
nothing.
no laptop.
It was amazing.
Well,
Is that
no,
what
she
you're
went out.
smiling? She's really
Although
acting
she
like-
went out,
No,
immediately you went
that's
out.
different.
Immediately she went out. I quickly did some of my reports.
Yeah.
And when she came back, I spent time with her. At
Yes.
least I know that I'm giving back to that time. And
giving back, yeah.
that's what we've been doing the last 11
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's right. That's really incredible to hear. Wow. Yeah, the notes people should be taking in this point in this episode, I don't know for you, but I think this is something I will go back and re-listen, and I will just be like, wow. I don't know if we can we. So I'm just gonna ask. Can we continue? There's some questions I have to ask. Okay. So there are a few questions. We're just gonna answer them quickly. But there are a few questions that people really want to know. How do you support the dreams and aspirations of your partner? And also, how do you support them in situations where you've never experienced before? This is new. And it might be a negative, mostly negative, because I mean, positive experience, you celebrate with them, but like something that you're like, you've never done this before. Yeah, how do you support your partner?
For me, number one is prayer. You cannot remove the place of prayer. I remember then when we were still courting and my husband said he wanted to become a pilot. He even flew to the school in the north.
Yeah,
then,
in Katy, in Zaria.
Zaria.
In Zaria.
He flew to the north. He was going to start air flight
Aviation
aviation school, and
Yeah.
hey God. And I went to my knees. I was like, Baba God, don't let me die young. I cannot marry a pilot, But now I feel like I should have allowed you to become a pilot, you know.
You'll be flying first class.
And God just did it, and it just somehow didn't end up working out, right?
Yeah.
I remember when he got into the current organization he works with, it was also prayer, lots of prayer. Last year he got promoted 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And I just keep giving all the glory back to God. After praying, what I also do is I research. I'm the kind of person that I can find things out. I can search for things online. I can figure things out. So I research, and then I tell him, even with his mortgage business, I'm in some Facebook groups. I read things and I come back and I'm like, oh, babe, see, this was how this person worked this out. We share ideas together. And then I ask questions. Even when I don't understand, I ask questions like, right now, the current portfolio that he's handling, I just listen to him explain it, talk to me about it. And just knowing that, okay, I have somebody I can talk to, even if she can't fix all the problems, even if she can prepare my slides for me. I think he really appreciates that. And likewise for me as well, he does the same. I started a new role recently, and it's quite a high pressure role, and he just listens to me. He knows the name of my boss, he knows the name of my colleagues. He prays for me and with me. I really like when he prays for me. Whenever I'm worried about something, anything work related, anything else, I go to my husband. I'm like, sweetheart, just pray for me and say something, tell me. Whenever my husband prays for me, I just feel this sense of peace. And this strength, like, okay, I can figure it out. I can, make it work. And there was another, question you asked in terms of how we support each other. It's also by being there for one another. There are times when he's really busy and I know that, okay, I have to be there for him. And there are times when I'm really busy and, he's there for me. Because don't forget, we have children, right? We can't say because we're very busy, then we neglect the home and just focus on our busy schedules, right? So we both try and fill in, so we're not both super busy at the same time, because that will be to the detriment of our marriage and also to the children. Anything you want to add?
No, I think all what you said is spot on. What I also want to add is always encourage.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes when we want to get to a position in our career, there's this imposter syndrome that just comes in and all that. So you need that person that that knows you very well to encourage you to say, hey babes, you can do it. I know you can do it. Have you forgotten you did like this, like this, like that?
Yeah.
That is priceless. Money can buy that. I remember there was a time when, I think 3-4 years ago, my wife's boss actually left the organization. And she said, oh, do you think I can do that? I said, babe.
He gassed me up, man.
You need to gas. You need to be the hype man. Like, what I saying, you can do it. You're the best person for it and all that. And as God will have it, she went for it. She did the job excellently well. Yeah. Wow. And from there, she moved on to bigger portfolio, bigger stuff and all that. So you need to be there to be able to, you need to be each other's hype man.
Yeah.
Like, baby can do it and all that. That's what I think.
And believe in what you're saying. Don't just say it as mere words.
Just like
believe what you're saying.
Meaning, and you pray for each other.
Yes.
Prayer is powerful. My wife will always say that, if she applies for a job and
my husband has not told me you get that job, or he has not prayed for me. Forget it.
She'll tell you that. No.
But my husband tells me.
And so for me, it's all.
And he prayed for me.
For me,
no mountain, no Jupiter.
Also, I also have to be careful. Like, okay, if I'm saying I want you to have this job, or you are going to get this job, I know that I'm going on my knees to pray to God. That
exactly.
God, she must get that job.
And that sometimes God has even told you.
And God has told me that.
So we're able to then hold
so
on
sometimes
to that together.
She will ask me, babe, have you heard anything? Is God telling you anything about this job I'm applying for? And I'm like, no. Then she's upset. I'm like, no, I know the oracle.
It's the oracle of God. No updates.
No updates.
Do you get so?
No updates.
The place of prayer cannot be.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to be there for each other.
And sometimes it's not only work related, right? Sometimes it's even friendships. Somebody hurts you so bad, And I go to him and I'm like, sweetheart, I don't think I can do this anymore. Just somebody who keeps reminding you to be like Christ, because a lot of times you want to look at the person and say, oh, guy, are you mad? Like, girl, are you crazy? But just somebody that keeps you in check. Yeah. Okay. It really helps. And also same for him when he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, no, sweetheart, calm down. That's not what Christ would do. So having that check and balance really helps us.
Wow, that's good. I wanted to ask, so now we're going to move on to questions from other people. Okay. I have a couple here, and it says, do you think the church has in some way nursed females to start idolizing marriage? And
so I don't think the church actually makes women feel like everybody around them is a potential. I actually feel like it's the world or society that does that, because when you're strongly grounded believer in Christ as a woman, you know what you carry. You realize that you're the price. So you know that you can't settle down with just anybody and everybody around you, because you know what you are bringing that will amplify what God has put in that man. So you can't just settle down with anybody. So no, you can't just be looking at everybody as a potential, because you know who you are, whose you are, and what you're set out to do. So I actually don't think the church makes, every woman feel like every man. It's actually movies that do that, especially all those Korean movies where we just be falling, you just come out of the elevator, bah, you just fall down, bah, you just pick up the books, next thing.
Could it be
the world? It's not the church. No.
Okay.
Preaching sister. I think one of the things I want to add to what she's just said is, in all of this, she said the church, women. One of the things we should also do more is we should make sure that men are taught.
True.
We don't have enough program for young men.
Will they go?
So we can start.
And okay,
as you see the fruit, then you go.
Exactly.
You need to start. We can't continue to say, will they go? Boys, you need to use what would attract them. Tell me. So if I'm saying, okay, there's a soccer match for Manchester United, Arsenal, going to pray, and we're going to put it on in church, then after that, there's going to be small jobs for boys to be able to stay. Boys are going to stay, and by then we put the word, we put the seed inside them for them to be able to know that, okay, this is God's plan for your marriage and all that. They hear it. It's just the seed you have to. You don't need 30 minutes preaching. Just a word for them. Let them, men would think at night, they think about it, and by the time they want more. When that seed start germinating, they want more. Then they come after it.
Yes, give the increase. And I really like what you said about the fruit. Everybody is built differently. That's why Thomas, even when the disciples told him that, we have seen Jesus, he said, no, until I see him with my eyes and I see the nail that pierced his hand and everything. Some people, they need to see the fruit for you to be able to capture them. So not everybody will just buy in immediately and then just start attending, but as they see the fruits, then more people will be converted.
And like somebody would say, you don't want to be a believer that your life needs to be a projection of what God wants. So you need to, God says we should multiply and we should dominate. We should, and in dominating, you need to dominate your area, you need to dominate finances, you need to dominate. And when people see that you are multiplying and you are prospering, people want the good life.
The good life.
People want the soft life.
True.
Yes.
People will come to the light of God in you.
But also, prospering is not only money. I have to mention that. It's not only financial, but your life has to be that aroma that makes people want to know Christ. It has to, be that attracting savor that people look at you and like, oh, there's something different about you. It could just simply be the way you carry yourself. It could be the way you speak. It could be the way you handle issues, right? But something that then pulls them in for you to be able to then share those nuggets.
So we're in a world where a lot of people talk about mental issues now, right? But people see that you're not afraid. There's something in you that is calming. There's something like you that gives peace. People want to search for that. When people are like, oh, how am I going to do this? You know that you have a God that is going to solve everything for you because you are multiplying in God. People want to see that. And they'll come to you, the light of God in you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for answering that question. So we have 2 more questions. What are the red flags to look out for in a partner, both female and male? And the second question is, what are the right questions to ask when getting to know someone or you're courting someone?
Okay. For me, I'll answer as a woman. So red flags to look out for in a man: temper tantrums. If you see a man, he's, it doesn't take anything to get him angry. He becomes a different kind of person when he's angry, so vicious. He doesn't respect anybody when he's angry or when he's not. He doesn't have anybody he's accountable to. he can't spend on you. Look, a man does not need to have all the riches in the world, but the little he has to be willing to share it with you. If you are seeing signs that son is an akagom, he can't take care of me, he won't take care of my children either, don't proceed further. Press the brake and, walk through that.
Yeah.
A man who obviously doesn't love God, doesn't honor God, somebody that doesn't model Christ. Not only does he not model Christ, you can see that he's not even trying to, right? And then I believe that we're all blessed with the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit also comes with the spirit of discernment. You would be able to discern and know if somebody is faking it, if somebody is pretending, if he's a hypocrite. A man who has a string of failed relationships. Nobody is asking you to be perfect, but if you've had like 13 girlfriends in the course of 3 years, then we need to check it. What's going on here? These are some of the things, from the top of my head that are red flags.
I think those red flags actually apply to both
genders.
Both
right?
genders. One of the things I also look, the way they treat people who are not in the same social standard as theirs.
Yes.
You go to a restaurant, you see the way they treat
Waitress,
someone. You see the way they talk to a janitor and all that.
Yeah.
You know that this person, no matter what, they would not be someone that doesn't have self-respect for themselves. You need to also look out for that. Someone that doesn't prioritize the things of God.
Yeah.
No matter how they do it, because you need God in this lifelong journey. So those are the things I'll add to what she said. Whether male or female, it's still going to be the same thing because we are all human beings. Apart from, and also as men, find someone who's going to spend on you. My wife spends on you. Even though she will come back and say, babe, you. But it's
let me tell the women in secret. When I spend on my husband, I use back door to collect the money back.
She said she used backdoor to collect the money
so
back.
you want to. He's not the kind of person that would on Valentine's Day or this thing, all they know is just buy you
boxers and singlets.
We've passed that era.
Yeah.
So someone that is willing to also say, yes, I know that the common saying is, our money is our money, my money is our money. But that our own money, she's also willing to spend it on me.
Fly your man somewhere. If you have the money, treat him, take care of him. It's not all the time you will say, my man. You too, do something
for
right?
your man.
I remember there was a time on one of my birthdays. She just came to my office.
Yeah.
There's this exotic car. Since that day, I've not driven that car till today.
Yes.
She rented that car for me to have for 24 hours. Well, 24 or 48 hours.
What's 48 hours?
Yeah,
The entire
48 hours.
weekend.
Hey!
The entire weekend.
Do you
Wow.
remember what car it was?
I don't want. So they want people. So she rented the latest Bentley for me for the weekend.
At least if I can't buy it yet
Are you
for
hearing
him,
gift
we
ideas?
can
Yeah, I can give you
experience
the
it.
experience.
Exactly.
Can give you the
Pending
experience.
when the Lord
And
opens up the heavens and blesses us with that
I held
money.
the steering, I'm like, this is why these people want to always be rich.
Yes.
Jesus, I skebosha like.
Yeah.
Oh.
and I made sure to get it in a color he really
In
likes.
a
He likes
color
blue
I
and he
like.
likes white. So I got it in blue.
It was
my.
material,
Yes.
why everything I drove and drove like
48 hours. My husband was just driving. I said, don't talk to my driver.
I managed that machine. That was a machine.
That
Like,
entire
oh,
weekend, yeah.
so
he really liked it.
Somebody who would spend on you, even though that, and somebody who would appreciate you. There's that, whatever you're doing, they're able to say, thank you, I see you, I see what you're doing.
Yes.
That person.
Yeah. And just going back to that spending again, because money is something that can make or mar the experience people have in a marriage. The approach I try to take is, look, money is paper, right? I can't let money rule me. When we have it, all good. And if it's a season where it looks like we're broke, the little we have, we share it together. So just making sure you have that shared attitude towards money and making sure you don't let money rule you. There are certain people when things are a bit dry in the home, they just become different people. They're so angry, they're so bitter. No, money cannot control you. Money cannot be your king, So the approach to money also really matters in terms of how, happy and how successful the relationship or the marriage is.
And the final question was, what are the questions to ask when you're courting and when you're getting to know someone? Important questions to ask. Because now,
So
I don't know. I don't know. I used to ask that question because let me know, like, what do I want to ask you now that will make me know that, okay, is this person serious? Because the questions we ask now, let's not ask what's your favorite color anymore. That's what they're telling us not to ask. So
yeah. So I know that, you need to ask about the person's family background. You need to know what they
Okay.
believe in. You need to know if you are going to have to be praying and fasting and breaking ancestral curses and things like that. But in terms of questions to ask an intending partner, I want to start by saying that, questions like what's your favorite color and all, like you mentioned, those are not the meat of it. Questions like how many children do you want to have? It's important, but things can change. Because when we talked about it before we got married, I told my husband I wanted 5 to 6 children, right? And he married me based on that assumption. Imagine if he also really wanted 6 children. If I don't turn to war now because I don't do anymore. Now that I've experienced it and I know what it's like, I'm like, what? 5 to 6? No way that's happening. So imagine if you marry somebody. So imagine if you marry somebody solely based on, the number of children they want to have. So there are things that may change. There are things that both of you would grow out of. So you also have to give that grace. So in as much as you're asking specific questions before you marry, understand that you're going to also give grace in case things change as both of you continue to grow. But important questions to ask: you need to know about the person's background. You need to know about the person's belief. You need to make sure the person is a Christian. You need to know the person's attitude towards certain things, like polygamy, all sorts of things, open marriage. Open marriage.
That's
like, we are married, but we
important.
can involve other people in the marriage. Things about the person's belief towards discipline, raising children, right? So there are key questions that you should be focusing on. There are key questions. Even the person's attitude to spending money. You need to know, are they a planner? Are they a saver? What's their style towards money? So you both know how to balance things.
You need to ask questions about if the person, how the person is going to react to if someone batters their wife or their husband as in another person, or what's their reaction to that. Then you'll be able to know what you are in for. Because some people will tell you, I can't touch a fly, I can't. But by the time they get into the marriage, things will push them, and how are they going to react to that? You need to know their stand on it.
yeah,
And also, like she said, things are going to change, but one of the things which will not change is your faith.
Yes.
You need to be very aligned in your faith, what you believe in, and also you need to be very aligned on how you're going to raise your children.
Yes.
Because somebody wants to raise your children this way, and another person, you guys are going to clash. And those are the things, and you don't want to have a divided home.
yeah. Wow, thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been a blessing to myself, and I'm sure everyone that is listening is already blessed, and they feel like you've answered most of their questions. Thank you for taking your time. They have kids and they are here, so we thank you for taking our time to come here and for sharing those nuggets and not withholding wisdom from us. It's great, and I pray that you guys will witness great marriages happen around you.
Amen.
In Jesus'
Amen. In
name.
Jesus' name.
But yeah,
Amen.
thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you in our next one. If you have any questions, don't forget to send them to our email at YAHWEH'S@gmail.com. And what am I saying? Yeah, at gmail.com. Yeah. And please comment on our Spotify, comment on our YouTube if you have any comments about anything that we mentioned today, or if there's any other what do you call that kind of question? Follow-up question to what we've answered, you can put on there, and if ever there's another chance we could answer those questions. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and please share or tell a friend to tell a friend about this podcast. And we love you guys. Have a lovely day wherever you are. Bye.
Bye everyone. Thanks for having
Bye.
us. Bye.